You're back to Global Business Report. Today is Monday, the 8th of January. The Dangote Group has provided clarification on the recent raid by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the company's head office, reiterating to providing cooperation. In an official press release, the Dangote Group's management asserts that the Anti-Graft Commission did not give the company enough time to address charges and provide 10 years' worth of data about their foreign exchange records. Additionally, the business emphasized that the visitation was unplanned and unjustified. The search followed the probe of dozens of companies over forex transactions over the last 10 years. On Friday, December the 5th, at the official market, the Naira continued to appreciate against the dollar, recording its second gain of the year. At the conclusion of business, the local currency gained 3% value, closing at 869.13 to the US dollar, according to the data from the Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange Market. That's official forex trading platform. Nevertheless, the Naira fell at the unofficial parallel forex market, where FX is sold. Peer-to-peer traders put the exchange rate at 1,231 Naira, 70 kobo to $1 American dollar. That's roughly 2% lower than what it closed at the previous day. Segun Ajayi-Kadir is the Director General, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, and he joins me now to discuss this further. Good morning to you, sir. We thank you very much for joining us on this show this morning. Let's start with the foreign exchange regimes in emerging markets. If you consider Nigeria emerging market, frontier market as it is, does it indeed give you way to favorite being picked when it comes to who has access to the official exchange rate in terms of how it is done by the authorities?
Well, so I think generally speaking, foreign exchange is critical to any emerging market, Nigeria inclusive. And so when it is scarce, it only behoves the authorities to ensure that they are innovative and very strategic in terms of allowing access to it. So what will be preferred is that the productive sector of the economy is favored in terms of the allocation of the scarce foreign exchange. As you rightly said in your intro, and the Naira has taken a beating over a long period of time, and it has become a source of worry, particularly for manufacturers who have to import raw materials that are not locally available or in the right quantities. So it's a very challenging thing, and operating in an environment where the exchange rate has been floated, I mean, it leaves a lot of challenge, and that's what we have indicated, particularly in recent times, that a more creative way of allowing the prioritization of allocation to the manufacturing sector is brought about.
Is it really dumb to have preferential FX treatment to companies? Do you think that could be done? Should it be done on a company or company basis? Should it be done on a sectoral basis to stimulate perhaps certain sectors of the economy if they can get preferential foreign exchange to stimulate that particular subset of the industrial manufacturing of the economy, for example, and then motivate them to drive others along? Is it something that could be done very well and nicely as a policy?
Of course. I mean, you need to put your money where your mouth is. I mean, there's no way you will not, if you have a challenge, you must be able to identify quick wins for you to get out of the situation. When you are in a pit, you don't continue digging. And it's very important for us to really analyze the issues. If you have scarcity in terms of foreign exchange, it is important for you to deliberately and intentionally fund those sectors that are likely to reflate the economy, have higher chances of even reducing the demand for your forex. So you will naturally give to manufacturers, for instance, who have the capacity to not only produce domestically, but to export and earn the forex that you require. So I think that, yes, there is nothing wrong with it. The government can decide on a sector to be supported, particularly the one that is critical for its economic survival and for improvement in terms of growth. So I don't think there's anything. It has to be creatively done. It has to be intentionally done. And it's not something that is not practiced elsewhere. Otherwise, how are you going to grow champions? How are you going to get the economy out of the woods. You need to prioritize and you need to incentivize. And I believe that's what this preferential allocation of forex is.
Look at the exchange rate, I'm sure, as the Director General of your hundreds of members, if not thousands across the country. If you look at the exchange rate of the Naira to the dollar at the official, what you call the autonomous foreign exchange market, and what you call the street figure, which you call a black market in the manner of speaking, around 900 at the NAFEM, about 1,200 on the street. What needs to happen to stabilize the currency? Or let me put it this way. What do we need right now? What do you manufacturers want? Let me put it that way. Do you want a stable exchange rate, or you want a better exchange rate in terms of maybe it moves back to 500 or 300 to the dollar, or if it's going to be 1,200, it's going to be 800, it's going to be 1,005. You want to stabilize moving forward. What exactly would you manufacturers want? What do your members want?
Yeah, from a strategic point of view, stability is important. It allows you to plan, and you can really make long-term plans that you know will endure and it will hold. But in terms of cost of your manufactured products, you need to be competitive, and so the rate is important. So what I would say is a creative management of the two in such a way that you are able to prioritize the allocation to the productive sector, and at the same time ensure that the demand and supply play does not throw the productive sector out of joint. So we will prefer, I mean, when you mentioned 500, 400, I hope that it will happen in my lifetime. We didn't expect that we will go to source at 1,200. Even the 800 or 900 in the foreign in the official market is still way too high for a manufacturer who has to import his raw materials, spares, and machines that are not locally available. So we will prefer that a specific attention is given to the sector, and that governments works creatively, because all of this, I think the major issue is inadequacy of supply. And there are certain things that government needed to do to be able to boost supply so that it doesn't become something that you need to worry about when you want to plan your production process. I believe that it is an admixture of the two, but quite importantly, we need stability.
Okay, so the Dangote Group said by the time the EFCC, I'm sure you're following this in the news over the weekend, over the last few days, to provide data on those FX transactions was short. They said they want more time. They were not granted. What's fair in your view? And I'm sure the kind of a relationship between the government in the past and the Dangote Group is not under the table. I think it's an open secret in Nigeria that Dangote has been very close to the government, close to the central bank, up until this moment, perhaps, as it were. So I'm not sure, how would you think people outside are looking into this particular situation developing into this FX investigation, not only with the Dangote Group, but of course about a number of other companies in Nigeria who say perhaps got preferential allotments of FX from the central bank?
Yes, I mean, the issue of the invasion of Dangote headquarters is quite an unfortunate one. And I don't think, I believe it's something that Nigeria needs to look at in a very serious manner, so that government takes a decision as to whether we are going to continue to encourage private investment and how we deal with our champions. Without any doubt, Dangote industry is an institution, is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, manufacturing entity, not only in Nigeria, but in Africa. It employs thousands of people, and it's one of those, I mean, if I was government, it's one of the companies that I will rely upon to get me out of this forex issue that we've been talking about. You can imagine if we don't have to import fuel, the whole issue about fuel subsidy would disappear. So my take is that there is absolutely nothing wrong with a company being close to government. I mean, who will be close to government? If you are a businessman and you have invested in such a humongous manner as Dangote has invested, not only in Nigeria, but outside of Nigeria, of course, you have to be close to government. Of course, your business dealings will make you to have engagements with government. You will require incentives. I mean, look at the kind of money that he's borrowing. In fact, sometimes I wonder whether he sleeps. So I believe that from a strategic point of view, and as a nation that wants to grow its economy, what we should focus on is having more of Dangotes, not killing the one that we have. I mean, if you can imagine, I think the last count, Dangote has about 15,000 trucks. So if we have two people to it, that means he's not in the business of transportation, but he has 30,000 people, driving the trucks. I mean, and look at the refineries and the rest. So I don't think he should be seen as an ordinary businessman. He's an enigma. He is a representation of what the private sector should be. And in other climes, such people are deliberately developed in order for us to be able to lift other industrialists and be like a champion that is. I think Alhaji Dangote is one of the African champions that is recognized by the African Union. And if you see the way he's treated in some other countries, presidents come to see him. So my take is that we should be circumspect in terms of how we deal with our champions, and we should be kind in the way we judge them, because they are taking a lot of risk in believing in Nigeria. Of course, they are businessmen and they must make profit. I mean, he has to pay back his loans. I don't think he has all the money in the world. So my thinking is that the way the news is being received around the world does not speak to a very good image, particularly now that this administration is desperately looking for foreign investors. I mean, if we have big investors as big as Dangote wanting to come into the country, he's going to look at how the existing ones are treated. I have a feeling that the EFCC, for instance,
yes, please go ahead,
that EFCC, for instance, needs to be able to clear the air on what is intended to do. I believe and I hope and I pray that the negative interpretations that is being given to this raid is not true. And I think it behoves the EFCC to come out to give some form of explanation that will not only reassure the Dangote Industries Limited, but it will assure all other domestic investors, because I'm told that there are more than 50, and then, quite importantly, foreign investors. I mean, to explain in the best way that is possible.
Very interesting about how this is going, and I'm sure how the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, I'm sure right now, I'm sure you've been getting calls from other members of your association. I'm sure that we appreciate your coming to talk to us on Arise News exclusively this morning when this issue is still very hot out there. I'm sure there are several phone calls you'll be getting over the past few days. And so what's going on? What does this mean for Nigeria's manufacturing industry that is just beginning to emerge? As we saw in the third quarter of last year, according to latest data, that the total foreign direct investment into Nigeria manufacturing sector got about 42% of that, which is the lion's share, roughly $300 million. Then we saw the PMI data for December showing that manufacturers' activity in Nigeria, according to Stanbic IBTC data, was better, took Nigeria out of a contraction of 48.0 to 52.7. That's a whole lot. So the manufacturing industry is emerging. So I'm sure, what are your members saying that right now about what the economy went through last year? What are they thinking about for the new year vis-a-vis these investigations by the EFCC?
Yes, I mean, we were optimistic that with the promises of government and the fact that the budget was passed just right on time, that we are going to witness a dramatic improvement in the business environment. I mean, so you can understand how this unfortunate incident has tended to dampen the interest. Yes, I've been receiving calls, particularly those that are among the other companies that have been served the letter. I mean, you give somebody a week notice. Dangote Industry, for instance, has more than a dozen companies, and they cannot put this information together. From the release that I've read, what they are saying is that they were actually delivering the first batch of the information that was required before the raid. And this is a company that between 2021 and 2022 paid more than 410 billion naira as tax. This is the budget of 2 states for 2024. So when you are dealing with such companies, and you know that there are others that are maybe not so big but also very big, you send the wrong signals to them. And so the outlook for 2024, we were hoping that, well, this rough period will not go beyond the first half of the year, because government expenditures on budget for infrastructure development and reflation of the economy and improvement in availability of forex will have moved us away from the wood after the first half. I mean, but with what is happening now and the signals that people are getting, I think government needs to do more to reassure the private sector, particularly the manufacturing sector, and to deliberately engage to allay their fears going forward. Because we cannot afford going into a recession at this time, and all hands has to be on deck. For the president's renewed hope agenda to work, I think the private sector has to be assured. The private sector should not have anything to fear. I mean, we are not saying that any company cannot be investigated, but they don't have to be embarrassed in the process. I think we need to treat the manufacturers with a lot of respect and for staying the course, because you can see how foreign companies are closing shop here. So because the manufacturing environment is obviously inclement. So you can understand how the sentiment is behind all these stories.
All right, Segun Ajayi-Kadir, the Director General of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, thank you so much for speaking with us here on Arise News very early Monday morning. Thank you. Wish you all the best for the rest of the week. Thank you so much.